Welcome to Next Level Entrepreneur. In this podcast episode, we're going to be speaking with Anela. And Anela had an incredible journey where she went from zero to $100,000 in just 20 days. How crazy is that? To reveal, and today she's revealing all of her secrets. She's revealing the exact step that she did and the surprising issues that she's facing now when she's scaling her business. There are so many golden nuggets. Make sure you watch this whole thing all the way to the end. I know it's a little bit of a longer episode here. Definitely make sure to stick to the end. Also, what you should do is comment below all of the things that you disagree with, because though we are working close together with Anela, we definitely have some points where we don't agree with, where we have a complete different understanding of things, or a very, very opposite opinion of things. So I would be super interested on whose side you're on for the arguments that we're having. Enjoy all of the golden nuggets that we're dropping in this episode. And if you want to get your e-com business started or to the next level, you do not want to miss all of the secrets and all of the knowledge that Anela is sharing here, because most of it is actually surprising, and you will not have guessed that, well, this is what it takes to get an e-commerce business successful, because frankly no one really is talking about that. So she's not pitching anything to you, she's not selling anything to you, she's just giving you the exact things that she did and whatever helped her to get this tremendous success. So without further ado, let's jump into the podcast episode. I'm super excited to present it to you. Here's Anela, and enjoy today's show.
Cool. Sollen wir mal starten?
Mm-hmm.
But we'll do this in English. Is that okay with you? We'll do English.
Yes.
English is great, right?
You wanted to send me questions, by the way, but you just didn't.
Oh yeah, sorry. I can send you a picture. I can send you like a.
No,
I can make a
fine.
picture of what I have here, but it's I doubt you can read it anyway. So
Now
we'll just go off the cuff.
We will be very honest because it's unprepared. So we do
Yes,
real
right.
talk.
No fakery,
No
nothing like
fake.
that.
No.
Cool. So let's jump in. I'm very happy that you're here. Welcome to the Easy Peasy Ecom podcast. Welcome to this episode, because I'm super excited for this. I've been waiting for this for a long time. You've kind of let me hang there for almost 2 months already. And
Right.
so I want to welcome you here. This is Anela from Germany, and I'm super, super happy and excited that you joined me today.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to this. Yes, it's been a while because I've been so busy with the shop and stuff, and these kind of things you just postpone to some time.
Yeah,
But
these
now we're
unimportant things, right?
Yeah,
these-
like whatever.
Cool. What we're going to do today basically is we're going to take people on a journey. So we're going to take people on your journey, but we're going to take people on a general journey. So everyone can kind of take away something from that. So someone who's just starting out, someone who's thinking to sell products online, but also people who are already selling and already making money, and I just want to give people a little bit of a journey and a perspective. And I think you have a very cool story and background, and you've actually reached $100,000 in revenue now, not for the first month, but for the second, third months. Where we at right now?
It's the third month already, I think.
Cool.
Like before that, it was just like kind of zero in every single shop, and then this one was like it just blew up.
Yeah. How quickly did you go from 0 to 100,000 in that shop?
That was less than 1 month. I think it was like 3 weeks or something. Like
Yeah.
I was trying different shops and different products, and all of them were kind of working, kind of not. And this one, I was like, let's put in even more effort. And after I did this, finally it just went it just blew up. I don't even get it myself, because I always used to watch these kind of YouTube videos of people being super successful, being like 1 million per month and stuff. And I'm always thinking, where are the people who are not doing so well, like me, right? And now I feel like I've been there just like 12 weeks ago. I've been watching these videos and thinking like, how can I get there? And finally, I feel like I don't even get it yet. That's how it feels.
So basically, we all think about that 7-figure business, right? That's, I think, it's it's the goal for a lot of people, right? And if you continue to do the way you do, then 7-figure all of a sudden becomes kind of like an easy target, right? So maybe you can tell me, how do you feel about that? Like, how did 7-figure business seem before you were kind of on journey to it, and how does it seem now? Was there any change in perspective?
maybe we can talk about this in a few months, because it's still I just don't get it. And the money is not even real. Like, it's there and I see it and I reinvest it. I don't even use it. And I think the main difference was just, it's not that I've been trying this for like 3 years. It's not that I didn't know the strategies like 3 years ago. I knew everything I know today. Like, it's exactly the same. The only difference is just me this time pulling through and finishing it, like really finishing it. And after the first ads didn't work, try again and try again and try again. Actually, it's just this persistency thing that everyone talks about. And it's so stupid because it's so basic and everyone knows it, but no one does it. Everyone thinks it's because I don't have the perfect ad strategy, or I don't have the perfect product, or my shop is not the right team. But it's not these things. It's just doing it until you finish, until you have the success.
I think that's super interesting to say that, because I actually have this as like, I have like a little board here with questions, and that's actually one of the questions on there. If you feel that, like, what made this shift for you, right? So I'm super happy you go into that already, because I feel there's a lot of talk about strategies and what's the right technique and tactic, right? When in essence, for me it always came down to like becoming the person that's good enough, in air quotes, to go there. I feel like a lot of times people are afraid to launch it or to do something, because I feel like, oh, what if I'm not good enough? Well, maybe you are not good enough, like maybe you need to persist and go there. So I want to talk to you about all of these e-commerce things, but I also kind of selfishly booked this interview with you because I wanted to get you personally get to know you personally a little bit better, and that's what I want to go into. So maybe before we go into all of the e-commerce strategies and the things that made you successful and the mind shifts that you had on the way, I want to talk a little bit about you. So maybe you can tell me a little bit, maybe give us a background on where do you come from, how did you grow up, and then we kind of take it from childhood to kind of today.
Right? So I think it's like similar story for everyone. I was born in Croatia. I grew up there until I was 3, and then the Croatian War started, and me and my family, we moved to Germany, like some kind of immigrant story, if you will. And my parents, they were just some kind of mid-class people, just doing basic jobs and stuff. And at some point, they started their own restaurant business. And it's not as if we like had a lot of money, but I always saw my parents creating stuff and doing stuff and not being lazy and not being employed, especially. And I was always like, yeah, I'm going to do like something like this one day, or even better. And I just had like a normal corporate job in the beginning, like real estate, commercial real estate. We were renting them out in Frankfurt, Germany and stuff. And it was like, it's the same story for everyone. You're like, why am I here? And why am I doing things I don't actually really care about? And that's how you start researching, right? You start Googling how to make money online, what to do instead of your 9-to-5 job. And you just get inspiration. And that's how I started. And I had actually just quit my job back then, thinking that I know enough about online marketing and that I'm ready already, and that it's gonna be like super nice. I'm gonna make a lot of money. Everything's gonna be nice. So I moved to Chiang Mai in Thailand, where you have all these digital nomad communities and stuff. And I thought, like, here I am, like, where is success? But it just didn't come because I wasn't just ready. I didn't know a lot about personal development, like growth. I didn't take care of my mindset so much. I just thought, like, you can just do things as being self-employed and it's going to work out, but it didn't. So I went back to Germany. I kind of went back to start from scratch, and I learned some strategies and I worked on my mindset and I read the books and watched the videos and all of this. And in the end, that's like, the whole thing that finally got me here. And I'm never going ever back to being employed. Like, let's say e-commerce doesn't work at some point, it's just going to be something else, but it's never going to be like 9-to-5 or even 9-to-7, whatever. There's no point. There's no purpose behind this.
How long did you stay in Shanghai?
Half a year.
And I think it's incredible because a lot of people go there. I know a lot of people who went there also from here, from China, you just fly over 2 hours and you're there, right?
Right.
And there's so many people who go and say, okay, I want to do the laptop lifestyle, working from the beach. And after 2-3 months, everyone comes back and is like, didn't get anything done. I was just drunk all the time and didn't actually do the work that I needed to do, and eventually ran out of money and had to come back, right? So you talk a little bit about personal development and mindset. What were the things that you mainly worked about, and did you kind of consciously work about on those, or that was just it just somehow happened that you worked on specific areas?
I think it just became a hobby. When I was 17, I read this book called How to, I don't know the English title. I think it's How to Influence People and Win Friends or something.
Dale Carnegie,
yeah. Yeah. And that's where I kind of started to see that this is an interesting thing. And I just started to go like, okay, what do like other very successful and happy people do? Because I don't follow the successful people. I follow the happy and successful people. And I noticed that they have been doing all this work. And that's why I started to reading the books and watching the videos and taking the courses and so on. It just became a hobby and passion kind of, but also I spent a lot of time doing that, right? So instead of watching TV, I did that, and I got the feeling like, oh yeah, I'm being productive. But in the end, I was just consuming anyway and not doing the work, right? So you have to do both these things in the end. But I noticed if I want to be a millionaire one day, it's not about the money that comes in. It's about you developing yourself to being able to become a millionaire. And that's what I want to do. And I don't want to be a millionaire because of the money itself. It's just like how amazing am I going to be when I'm a millionaire? Like, it's a cool journey, and it just goes like this. And once you see this, you just can't unsee it, right? So same reason why you cannot maybe be with old friends anymore or speak to everyone, because they won't get it. Most people don't see it, and they just follow their path, and they like the system and stuff. But once you don't like the system, you're like done, and you go and you just do your own thing.
I feel 100%. I had a few old friends, if you will, that came back and they were like, "Oh man, like you changed." It's like, yeah, that's kind of the point, right? I want to change. I don't want to be where I am now. I want to become another person. I want to become better. I want to be able to, and that's exactly right what you say, and I feel the same way. The partner I have in the majority of anything that I do, I got together with him as an investor, and I never saw that the actual benefit was kind of the mindset training, because I didn't know that it's about that. And I feel a lot of people, especially when it's about drop shipping, it seems so easy. You just go and you set up Shopify store and you turn on some Facebook ads, and then the money is rolling in, right? It's so easy. So what were kind of your expectations when you just went in there? Because you said, okay, you quit first and then you did it, right? You didn't kind of make the money and then quit. So did you regret that decision at a point? Like, was there something where you were like not getting there? Were you regretting it that you quit already?
So if I was employed today and I was about to do this again, I would definitely have built this while being employed. But back then, this was the only decision I was able to make, because this was the decision I made, right? So it's not like I don't regret stuff. I just feel like it was right at that point. But if I would like suggest something to anyone else today, I would say just do it. Like when you come home at 7 in the evening, you can still work until 12, and you can do this for 2 months easily without burning out or anything. And if you're able to build something that kind of works, then you should quit your job. That's what I would do today.
Yeah, and it's so funny that you say it, because I recommend people the same thing, yet it was the same for me. Like, I quit,
right?
And then I was like, oh shit, it's not working out. And then I was struggling and I couldn't pay my rent. It was like, how do I do?
Yeah,
and then it kind of, it's not a great feeling, right? And I mean, you didn't have any kids, you didn't have any liabilities that you had to take care of, or that you had to shift your focus to. So basically for you, it was just full-time working. Now, how long, let's give people a little bit of a time frame, like how long from the moment that you discovered that you wanted to quit your job, how long did it take for you to stumble upon e-commerce? Were you doing different things after you quit, or did you go straight into e-commerce?
I actually started like, these kind of MLM companies, and some of them sell digital products, which is even worse than maybe selling the physical stuff, but they sell like digital MLM schemes, like whatever. And I didn't even get that back then. Okay, I didn't even get that it's an MLM kind of scamish thing. And I got into this and I thought this is going to work. And I can also do e-commerce and do many different things because everything is just easy. And when I got introduced to this company, to this MLM company, let's say this was August, and then they had a marketing event in Las Vegas in October. I went there and I was so pumped, like what they basically do with their people, right? They just pump you up. And I quit in like November or something. So that was like 4 months.
So how did that plan out for you? Like, how did that work out for you? How much did you gain at least experience, or did you make some money at it? Or how did that? Was it your first experience with online stuff, right?
Okay, so basically I just lost, these were like $10,000 programs. Like you have to invest $10,000 and stuff. So basically I didn't make any money. I didn't even acquire anyone into the business because I cannot do, that's not my kind of thing, right? But it's just a crazy story. I don't even get it, but that was the thing I did back then. And I didn't earn money with that. And most of the time I earn money with client work. But every time I tried something like myself from scratch, like own products and stuff, it took a long time. If I would take all these 3 years and be like, how much money did I have in the beginning and how much money do I have now? Like, because of so many investments and courses and coaching and mentoring and stuff, like I don't even know whether I'm in a plus, how you say, like, I don't even know whether I'm like cash flow positive right now because it was so many different investments, but we're getting there. And I would say it definitely takes some money to run these things, to become good at these things. But also it would have had help if I would have had someone who could tell me just, Anela, just get this one course and just follow it and you will be fine. Like just spend $2,000 and you don't have to do everything. But when you just start out, you don't know anyone, you don't speak with people, you just land on these landing pages for courses and mentoring and they all look nice and you just buy, because you're kind of being sold to, right? And you're a beginner, so you don't know anything.
Right. That's so interesting that you say that, because I wanted to ask that, like, how much did you invest in yourself? I mean, eventually you're definitely gonna break even, like you say. You're gonna turn cash flow positive, and you're gonna have learned from all of these experience, and they have made you steered you in the right direction, right? So I think it's a lot of people shy away from that and say, oh, like, all these people selling courses, they just want to take my money for the course, or whether it's a coaching program or whether that's something like, we have a $3,000 coaching program that goes into real depth with people, and I hear a lot like, wow, $3,000, so much money, and it is a lot of money, right? But I feel like a lot of times people have to get over this fear of investing a little bit, right? I mean, investing $10,000 in an MLM, I'm not sure if that's the right way either, but like eventually you have to give up something. Now tell me, when you went to Vegas, did you go alone? Like, was that you on yourself? You saw some video, you saw something, and then you just by yourself, you went to Vegas and you got pumped and then you quit your job? That's kind of how it worked.
That's kind of the story. Yeah, of course, like through the program I knew some people and some of them were based in Germany, but I didn't know them personally. But we just booked the flight and went there. It's a crazy story.
Now, how did you stumble across, or you say you did client work, right? So was that part of the MLM that you kind of learn how to acquire clients, or were they kind of providing you with clients, or how did that work?
No, that was just like me, because in the old company we used to do like also marketing and sales, and I just do like market research work or Instagram marketing or post productions or like photo video creation for social media, these kind of things, because that's kind of my hobby too, and that's something I can always go back to. But I don't like the client aspect of it.
Would you say that all of those experiences helped you with your e-commerce journey, or was that something like that's separate? That's something I did, but then there was e-commerce and you had to relearn everything.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think what client work helped me to realize was that I don't want to do it, and that being a freelancer, because when you do client work, you are, everyone says they're an entrepreneur, but basically they're a freelancer. And a freelancer is someone who is just not employed but still being treated like an employee, right? So I just noticed, like, I hated it so much that I did so many things just to get out of it and to have my own business. And then at some point, when I really got good at client results, I noticed that everything I put in there, like every effort and work, no one could actually pay that if I charged this what it's worth, because it generates money for the companies. So that's when I started, like, this is not right. Like, no one can pay the results I bring. Why don't I bring these results to myself? Like, go find a product, whatever it is. It can be a physical product, but it can also be coaching or whatever, and bring the like, put in the work to your own product. That's the only thing that makes sense.
I think one of the big lessons that you had there is kind of learning your self-worth, right? Because that's something that took me forever and I'm still not there. Like, still there are sometimes I'm quoting a number and I'm like, come on, like, that's ridiculous. Just because I don't believe that this is too much money, even though the results are incredible, and the money that we save people and the headaches that we take out of the process with all the sourcing work that we do and stuff like this. And I remember, like, on one of the first calls we were on, and then I quoted you the sourcing, and you're like, oh, that seems all right, that seems okay, like, you should charge more for that, like, and there are these little steps on the way where you have this realization. And I think that's one of the very cool and unique attributes that you have, that you actually really know your self-worth and really know, like, hey, all the work that I put in here, that's actually so much better invested in myself rather than for another person. Because I feel a lot of people struggle with that and say, okay, now I'm getting a $5,000 salary, like, how can I provide enough value? How can I be good enough and provide enough value to have that income and generate by myself on my own? But I want to switch gears a little bit. Yeah.
Let me just ask a question. Did you, but you didn't start charging these amounts in the beginning, or did you?
No, in the very beginning, we gave away sourcing. We charged, and when I say we, then it was like a pretentious company. It was basically me sitting in the kitchen with a laptop, and I had like two freelancers that we worked with when it just started out. I think 4 or 5 years ago, right? There was no office, there were no employees, there was nothing like that, right? But you couldn't just tell people that. But I knew this, so based on that, I didn't quote high. So I think in the very beginning, I did sourcing work, private label sourcing, for $300. Then eventually I raised it to like $400, and like, it was that was already a big step. Now we're charging about $1,000, $200. Some projects up to $10,000, $15,000. Depends on what it is, right? How much effort goes into that. So
because you got better also at it, and you are now able to charge more. Like, how there's this discussion about like some sales guys and like Gary Vee, where Gary Vee says like work for free and eat shit and stuff, and other people say no, like, know your value and always charge more. But I think you only get paid for what you bring to the market, and also for yourself. Like, in the beginning, there's no way you were as good on day one as you are today. So if you would have charged today's charges on day one, it's just wrong. Like,
it's just wrong, yeah. And it's very much a, like I say, it's self-worth, right? So it's the same with courses. We sold a sourcing course sometimes back, and we started selling it. We had a big launch and prepared it, and also they invested into coaches, and I think I paid $10,000 to a coach to help me with funnels and all that kind of stuff when that just started out. And we sold it for like a pre-sale $97, and then eventually the next launch we did it for $297. Then we did it and we had like 10 people bought the 97 one, and then 4 people bought the other one, and then we raised it to like $397, and we had like one sale, and that actually refunded. And so this was kind of crushing. I was like, oh shit, like, now, like, we can never charge higher amounts, right? And like I say, now we have programs that go in the thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars with us, and it's just becomes a whole different game. And even though this is all for coaching and like personal things, but the same thing feeds into physical products as well, right? So I think if people don't know their own self-worth and don't know what they're capable of and don't know, like if people are too scared, it also translates into the whole e-commerce thing. Like if people are not confident enough about the product, if they don't love the product, if they're not 100% behind it, the same way that you need, as a sales guy, you need to be behind what you're selling, right? But if you're not behind your product and really love it and think that's a great thing to do, it makes it makes it hard as well, right? So you have the same difficulties there as well. Maybe we can switch gears and you can tell me a little bit of the start of your e-commerce journey, right? So when did you realize that client work is not what you want to do? You wanted to go into e-commerce. How did you start that? What were your first attempts, or was it like an overnight success? You said you went in a month from $0 to $100,000. That's not how it started, right?
That's not how it started. Well, I wouldn't even know what to say exactly, because I have been like trying like maybe 4 stores in total. And I always did them like after I was done with the client work for the day. And, like one of these stores were like a print on demand store for mobile phone cases. But like with custom design stuff, what everyone recommends right now. Like everyone is like, don't do normal products, do POD. And I did that, and it didn't work at all. And another one was, I also got into Amazon FBA because it's kind of close to dropshipping. So I did eyelashes, which kind of worked well, but then in the end, like it kind of went down because I didn't take too much care of it, because of course you are focused on your client work, because there's nothing worse than not delivering to a client, right? Like, and especially when I do client work, I like put in like double the effort and double the time, even though nobody pays that, but you want to sleep well at night. So I was growing these stores, or kind of working on them after doing the client work. But also back then I didn't have the belief that it could work for me. I just didn't. I was just, everyone says it does. Everyone says you have to do like 2 stores, 3 stores, and maybe the 5th will be good. So I just believed in this, and I just did the work, even though I didn't actually believe it could happen for me. But I wanted to like put a check mark on the topic of dropshipping and be like, okay, I tried everything, it doesn't work, I'm done. Which is a bad mindset to have, right? But after trying so many things in the e-commerce niche, I just thought like, let me just once forever, like just finish this and see how it works. And then out of the sudden, it kind of did happen overnight. Like, of course, the effort you put in, and I took 2 months to build this particular store. These things take time, but in the end, it was kind of overnight. When you look at sales, it just blew up because a mixture of everything: good ads, good website, good product, good mindset.
Yeah, I always compare this to like gears in an engine, right? So like all of the parts and all of the pieces have to be aligned, and if one of the pieces is out of, like, it's not aligned, then the whole thing doesn't work, right? And this is the one thing I love so much about e-commerce, that it can just blow up overnight. And yes, it is a struggle to get there, and yes, you lose money, and yes, you lose time, and yes, you lose hair, and all of that kind of stuff, evidently. But it's like eventually, if you hit the right, if all the gears are aligned, you can just hit the accelerator, put some ad money on it, and then you blow up, right? It's just getting there, and that's can be such a hard and long time. And a lot of people say, oh, dropshipping doesn't work for me. Well, yeah, it didn't work for you because all the gears are not aligned. If it works for someone, then it just means, like, it doesn't mean dropshipping doesn't work. It just, you didn't make it work, right? It's the same with Amazon FBA. It's the same with affiliate marketing. It's the same with MLM. It's the same with any opportunity. Like, all of that stuff works, right? But like, how do you pull up the consistency to do it? So what I want to know from you is, what were your biggest mistakes along the way? Because you say, oh, this thing doesn't work and that thing doesn't work. So how you said the eyelashes then didn't perform, and like you had all of the print on demand was even worse. Like, what would you now afterwards say were your biggest mistakes on that way?
So basically, either it was me not finishing it, like not setting the store up the way it should be, like leaving out some stuff and thinking it's good enough just to give it a try, right? And then the try didn't go too well, and then not going back and putting in more work. So that was one part. And the other one, like, for example, the eyelashes, they were top sellers on Amazon for quite a while, and they were working so nicely, but the product was not too good. And it's most of the time it just comes back to the product and the lead times. Because with the eyelashes I had, like, it was magnetic eyelashes, and the magnets were not like sticking to the lashes. Like, the glue was bad, but there were other brands that were able to make it stick. So it was kind of a supplier problem. And back then, I didn't know that there are people who do sourcing and they take care of these things and so on. Only thing I knew was, like, I went to Upwork and I hired a sourcing agent, like a private person that helps you sourcing in China. And they got me some suppliers, but it was not good enough, and I didn't put in more work and effort, and that's how this ended. And the same thing with print on demand. I spent so much time trying to find suppliers who can, like, print on phone cases and send them out quickly. And I just couldn't find any. And like I told you, I didn't know about sourcing too much. And in Germany, we don't produce stuff. And if we do, it's like super expensive. So you don't sell stuff from Germany. You obviously sell from China and other countries. And I think, like, product is a big thing. If I had better product, many of these things I would have, like, held on to.
And you mean better products in terms of, you don't mean winning products. Like, it's not about, okay, I didn't have the right product. You mean the quality, right? You mean anything that comes from the supplier, whether that is supplier communication, whether that is the actual quality, whether that is shipping times, all of these factors, you mean, right?
Right. And that's why if you remember, when we met, I told you that your service, like, I don't think it's a lot of money. It's, like, perfect. I was expecting even more. And that's because now I know about the whole issue with sourcing and products. But if I don't know, if, like, 3 years ago you would have told me about your service, I maybe wouldn't have seen the value, because I would have thought sourcing is easy. Like,
oh yeah, 100%,
you do Aliexpress,
100%.
like, right? Oberlo, it's super easy. You don't even need guys like you. But after the experience I have now, I'm like, this is one of the major parts.
This is also one of the biggest issues that you see when you scale. Like, you don't really feel that supply chain is an issue if you have an order a day or 5 orders a day or something like this. But with scale, you bump into all of these issues. Like, we're at a point in our business. We had the other day, the first day, where we sold on Amazon from one product, one SKU, 1,000 units a day. So going to, like, these numbers, there's so much more in supply chain, in working with suppliers. Like, we have such good conditions now with the suppliers where we need to pay them 90 days after we placed an order for, like, 100,000 units. So but all of this doesn't come overnight, right? So there's really, like, a lot long-term work with suppliers and visiting them and going out with them and building a proper relationship and working together and not trying to screw each other on every cent on the way. And I think all of that is something. The easiest person for me to sell when I'm on the phone in sales calls is someone who just had a bad experience, because then you
right.
realize it, right?
They need
anyone who's never done it, there's no value in it, right? Because people don't understand what's the actual value in that. So maybe you can tell us a little bit, what were the biggest issues that you were having before you started working with us, and then what were, like, how did things in supply chain change now for you?
Right. Let me just say something regarding the sourcing part. As you said, that only people who just had a problem with this, they are, like, super easy to close for you. And I think that's because also when you buy the standard dropshipping courses, it's never about really the product. They only tell you about strategies, how to identify hot sellers. And, like, the other things are Facebook ads and store creation, and they don't go into the product bit because it's way too hard. If they talked about the product, this would be, like, such a long course. No one would ever finish it. No one finishes it anyway. But then, like, the success rate will be even smaller, and they just leave it kind of out. And then once you start dropshipping, either you dropship a shit product and you just like die after a few months, or you notice, oh, okay, I don't do dropshipping as a business. I just consider it some kind of a market check, like validate whether this product works with my market. And if it does, then I need to like become a real brand with a real product, with real people like you, like your sourcing team who get the products for me, make sure the quality is nice, good supplier, like someone who will not like screw you over. Like you need to take care of these things, but you never hear that in the courses. Yeah.
The thing is with these courses, like all of these courses are made to get you started, right? None of these courses are made to really like guide you through the whole journey, except ours, of course.
Right.
But
no, it's true. But yours is also very advanced, and that's why maybe not many people get it, because they're not there yet. Like most dropshippers just die at some point. That's just the reality.
That's the reality. Yep, absolutely. That's exactly how it is. So maybe you can tell us a little bit, like how are you now set up? Like before you were on Aliexpress and you were selling products. So what were the issues that you were having there, and what is the situation that you're having right now?
Right. So the way I was set up back then, I just researched this product like you do basic product research, and I just chose this one. It's in the beauty niche, and I'm interested in that. And it consists of like 26 single pieces. And I didn't even message the supplier through AliExpress, because I know they don't care. Because everyone is like, hi, I'm a dropshipper, and I sell like 100 products a day. Like, give me a better price, and they just don't. So I just started dropshipping, like whatever. And the products arrived and stuff, but of course, packages got not sent out. Like the tracking numbers were wrong. Products were broken. They were super, super badly packed. Like they just didn't care, of course, because for them, I'm like no one. But after they saw me like getting 60, 70 orders per day, they kind of messaged me and like wanted to know like how I'm doing and stuff. And the only thing they were like able to do for me was to put these 27 pieces in like not a box, like a beauty bag. That's it. And they even wanted me to pay $1 more for this. And I'm like, no, we're not paying anything more for this, because like 10% of your products arrive damaged because they are packed so badly. So this should be like basic. And then they agreed, yeah, let's keep it like this for free, whatever. But it never got really better. Like there were just issues and issues and issues. And especially the communication issue. They don't get you, you don't get them. You don't know how to speak to them, right? And now, since we are working together, basically I don't do anything anymore in the area of products, because you made your market research, you found out the right suppliers for me, you even found out like who can you work with personally. It's not about just like sourcing the product. You need to be like, this needs to be a person you can do business with, right? And you did all these things. So all I'm doing now is like, I have like the best product I can have. And we are currently ordering in bulk. And the next thing that's going to happen is we're going to put our logo on it. And that's it. I don't take care of stuff anymore, because you guys do that for me. So that's a good thing to have, basically, because I can take care of marketing and stuff. And also like customer support tickets got way less, of course, because people don't complain so much anymore.
Cool. I appreciate that. That makes me very happy. And also one of the steps that we're doing now, just for everyone to kind of understand what's possible. Like now we're at a space where we can have, because of the relationship, because of ordering bulk, and because of all of that. Now we're in a space where we can have different terms with the supplier. Where we say, okay, you just make sure you have stock, you provide all the products, you store all the products. But we only pay you for the products 4 days after we order them from you, right? So now there's even a little credit in that. So now, even though they make sure you're in control and you have the inventory, now in the next step they even go further and say, okay, now we give you a credit, and we don't even need to have the money in our account after 4 days, but we just need to see the receipt. Like, okay, I sent the money out boom, now we can do the shipping. So it's even little bit of a better cash flow option than Aliexpress is. But of course, there were investments to that, right? And this is not something like, if you're like, when you're not in China, this is not even like, you cannot do this. This is not possible. The supplier we're working with, they don't even speak English. Like, there's no, like, it's you need to be involved in this and have the right people to work with. And I know that there are a lot of sourcing companies out there that are not good. I have not been a good sourcing company when I just started out. I was really not good because of all the things I told you. Like, I was just a dude sitting there without a team, without an office, without anything, and just working with some freelancers. We'll store it in our warehouse and then we will bundle it there. And, like, all of these things that,
like all of us.
Like, yes,
me
like,
and my
fake
team.
it till you make it. Yes. So the
Right.
cat runs through. It's like, yeah, me and my assistant here. I even went so far, like, back then we had like, sometimes people complain, right? It's like, hey, I didn't get a reply for a few days, and then I sent back an email from a different email address from that wasn't like Niels at whatever it was back then, but it was like Nancy. And then Nancy messaged and was like, hey, I'm Niels' assistant. I'm very sorry, like, blah, blah, blah. And then I went back to the customer later and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I'll take care that Nancy replies you quicker next time. And all of these things. And just kind of faked it back then. That's also the reason why we didn't charge a lot.
This sounds kind of sad in the beginning, but there's no way, like, no one starts any different. Like, there's no born expert, and that's the issue for everyone who's starting dropshipping or who wants to become good at e-commerce. There are like 90% are scammers. I wouldn't even name them scammers. Like, there are some scammers, but then there are some just bad people, just people who start out, they're trying their best, they're doing the best, but they're beginners. And then you just have to identify like the diamonds between all of these.
Right, and that's
a hard thing to do if you're new.
If you don't know, you just don't know. Like, how do you know that a general dropshipping store doesn't work when you don't know what it is? Like, it's so hard to, it's so hard to identify all of these things. So it's really important to make your research and work with people that have a proven track record. You can see more about that. It's not just like, there are a lot of offers, and a lot of people don't mean bad. Like, they don't even mean to scam you, but they just don't give you the right advice because they don't know better, but they believe it's the right thing, right? Because they've seen it somewhere. And it's just so hard to find the right mentors and people to work with to advance to the next levels, right? You just really need someone who's been there before. And I have my mentors the same way that my mentor has his mentors, so it kind of goes all that way, right?
Yeah, that's good. Everyone has to keep learning forever, and if your mentor is not learning from other mentors, then is he really a good mentor? So there's no one knowing it all. You just have to like dig deep and get into the rabbit hole and just try to find the best information you possibly can. And also, I wanted to say regarding the current supplier. So I always knew about like Aliexpress dropshipping, right? And then there's a thing called private labeling. And if you want a private label, you just, like order it and you get your logo. But now with the current supplier, I always thought like he can only like create the products for us and then he will ship it to a fulfillment center and then you still have to take care of everything, yada, yada. But it turns out your relationship with them is so good that they actually just said, like we can also drop ship your stuff like out of our production, right? Everything's so flexible in China, but there's no way you can use this flexibility like being in EU or US or wherever. You need people like you being there and creating these kind of things that you thought would never be possible.
Right, and these are also some things I learned here that yes, I'm struggling here. Like when I say here in China, right? I'm struggling in China too. I did struggle in the beginning, but after you understand a little bit of the mentality, the problem is that people don't. Like everyone has the issue. Like they don't understand me. They don't know what I want. Like they're stupid or they don't care or like there's so many biases against it. But it's just a different culture. Right. So when you're dealing with people in another culture, it is just different. It's the same like if you work with people in like if you're in the Western culture and you work with people in from Russia, or if you work with people from Asia, or if you work with people from the Arabian countries, like there are always differences in personality and differences in culture. And I just hope that more people would be a little bit more open and less aggressive towards that, because like just because a person doesn't understand the way you're saying it doesn't make them a bad person. Maybe you just have to learn to communicate it better, right? And but after all, like at one point you just cannot do it yourself. Like at one point you need to get out, even if you're just starting. Like at one point you don't want to deal with this, you don't need to deal with this, and there are people that can do it for you, so why not give it to them? I even see offers now of people doing everything for you, right? So I see offers out there, and I want to see what's your take on that, right? Oh, just pay me, and I give you the best product. I find your product to sell on Amazon, and then pay me more, and then we even put your products on Amazon, and we make it sell, and we make everything for you. We do the pay per click, and we do the whole thing. Like, what do you think about these kind of offers?
That's interesting. I saw these offers, and as I love shiny objects, I'm always like, I would love to try this out and see how their service is structured, basically. But I'm totally aware, like me myself, I could not offer to someone to do everything I did for them, like done for you, me working these things off. I could never do this because it's worth endless money, because I can do it again for myself for the next product. So I'm totally aware that these companies, like, they don't do it on a super high level. But I believe if they are a company that has done it often and you can really validate that they're not scammers, they could help you to get into these things. But I'm just a person who loves to get deep into topics, and I just love knowing it all. And I wouldn't be happy with a company setting up a Amazon listing for me, because that means that I would not learn about the algorithm, about reviews, about all these important things. So I could only like hire them to do it for me, and I would never know it myself. And I don't think that's like long-term-ish. It's not a good, it doesn't bring you too much, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. You kind of have to go through a thing or two and struggle to learn how do you get out of it, right? Because if not, like whenever it gets hard, you're just like, okay, let me hire someone, to do it for me, and it doesn't always work out.
You're right. So this is not a good thing to hire someone to do, but for example, sourcing, it is a good thing to hire someone, because I think it's totally different.
You don't want to become an expert in sourcing. You don't want to become a sourcing agent, right?
True. Right. And especially you don't want to like maybe move to China, learn Chinese, learn to negotiate in Chinese. Like there's no point. Like just get someone. There are jobs that should be outsourced and there are jobs that should not be outsourced. And I think sourcing is one. Just source it out if you have a good company. And Facebook ads, I think, do it yourself. And I think it's nice if you can do Photoshop and video, because no one will put that much effort in it as you do. And everything else, I feel like just anyone else can do it.
What are the struggles that you're facing now that you are growing? Like, what were your expectations before you went into the kind of 6-figure a month range on how that would play out, and what was the reality of it? So what's the struggle in growth? Because I think a lot of people see the money and the numbers, but there's a different side to that as well. I would love for you to elaborate a little bit on what are your struggles now, and how can you overcome these things?
In the beginning, I just thought it's about finding the perfect Facebook ad, and then once you have an ad that costs like that spends €5 per sale, you just scale it forever, and you're like a trillionaire. But in the end, turn out like the Facebook ads, you even have to keep them on the low if you have not set up the whole business like up front. Because what I noticed, for example, I didn't have anyone for customer support. Because as I told you, I didn't even believe in it. I thought like, let's just try this one last time. If it's not good for me, it's not good for me. And then it blew up, and I didn't have anyone for customer support. I didn't have fulfillment apps installed the right way. I didn't even know how to fulfill, actually, because I just jumped over that part in the course. I'm like, yeah, once you get orders, you figure it out, right? So actually, it was not like, the dream was just to scale once you have a winning ad, but it's just not interesting at all. Like, I'm not taking care of my Facebook ads at all. They're just running right now. And I am taking care of like cleaning stuff up, having the right apps that do many things for you, so you don't have to do it manually. Teaching my customer support guy to answer the questions, finding out how customers like the product. Like, I don't want to scam people. I want people to have a good product. I want to know their questions. I want to create FAQs for them, videos for them to understand the product. And once these things are in place, then I'm going to get back to the Facebook ads and scale them up. But scaling is just not the issue, even though everyone teaches you it was. Like, there's no way I could have scaled right now without improving the company, basically.
So no one talks about the systems, right? One is the supply chain, then the other one is customer satisfaction, and these become so important things where no one ever talks about in the beginning, right? And I think that's really interesting. Now, what would you say are kind of the next steps for you? Is it to branch out into more different places with the same product? Is it to add a different store? Because I know people that have like 10 stores. Or is it to build out a brand out of the one thing, to add multiple other products to it? To like, where do you see this going?
Right. So basically, I would love to do all of these things at the same time, but I'm again like following the people I respect in the industry, and I think it's the best for me to focus on one thing right now and have it set up in a really nice and safe and good way in Germany. I'm selling to Germany right now. The store is in German, and once everything works there for a while, for some weeks, a month. We have new products now, like we had private labeled the new box and stuff, so we're gonna see how that works. And once this is like kind of fine in Germany, it will never be perfect, but pretty good. I'm gonna get into like other countries, and then once this is fine, there's so many products I want to do, because there's no shortage on products, even though everyone thinks like, oh my God, if I knew the one best product on earth, I would be so successful. But it's not. There are tons of products, and you just need someone to source them for you in a good quality, and you test them with the market, and you can create a new store. It's not an issue. There's no shortage, but it's more about you and your systems, like you said, and the right people in your team. And once you have this in your store, in your country, you go to the next country, or you go to the next store, or whatever makes sense for you, whatever interests you, basically.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I like that approach. It's a different approach than we usually take, but I appreciate the approach. I like it because it's not all over the place, and it's not you don't lose all your hair, and evidently like we do different.
But let me tell you one thing. I was raised in Germany, right? But I don't like the German mindset. I don't do things in a logic manner, or like one thing at a time, and everything should be like super structured and stuff. I hate this kind of work, okay? But this was the first time in this store with this project, I'm like, let's just do things differently right now. Let's just do it nicely. Like, first time ever in my life, right? I'm like, oh, German people were right. That's so funny. It's better. You sleep better. And also, as we are in the European Union here, there are many things, like many laws you have to oblige, I think is the word. And if you don't, you can be so screwed. You can pay fines, crazy fines. You can get in prison for stuff, like, I just don't want, like, these things can happen. Like, and I'm in a position now, like the revenue I make right now, I had never made in my life per month, ever. And I want to keep this thing like safe, have it nice and cozy, and just keep it a good and healthy thing. And that's why I'm taking care of, even the laws in Germany and European Union, even though usually I'm like, whatever.
No, it's fine to keep it nice and cozy at $100,000 a month. It's not too bad, right? I mean, this is
right.
This is what a lot of our goals were when and so I appreciate that strategy, and I understand it. Let's talk a little bit about, and I'm not going to keep this too long, but what I really want to talk about a little bit is kind of the difference. Everyone wants to sell in the US. Now, you sell in Germany, right? And I think everyone always looks into that the US is the only way that this is happening, because this is the big market, and just the German speaking market is just 100 million people, and even just the English speaking market, even if you would go just to the UK, or then even crazier, you would niche down more, and you would have like people, you would target even smaller markets, and a lot of people don't go in there, which I personally think creates great opportunities. But I would love your take on, like, why did you choose Germany over the US?
Right. So the reason I chose Germany was because I saw this product being sold in the US, and as I'm able to speak and write German, I just wanted to use this skill that many dropshippers obviously don't have because they're not German, and just use it to create a German store with a German domain, because German people they like to know what they're buying and stuff, and they are like very suspicious of websites. So I thought if I do everything in perfect German, everything's just German, even the customer support, everything. So they're gonna have trust, and they're gonna buy from me. And if they buy from the US, like if American people buy in the US, they definitely gonna do it in Germany as well. But for example, I can also speak Croatian, but I wouldn't try selling it in Croatia because I know Croatia is like a super weak country money-wise, like the people's money, like they don't order online, they just don't. But I don't know everything about this because I only tried Germany so far. But my personal opinion, unvalidated yet, is that you can sell in every country that Amazon sells in, because Amazon know what they're doing. It's worth a try, right? They kind of do. And I always think in the specific language, because, for example, we German people, we are used to all these dropshipping ads in English, but we don't like them anymore. And many different countries will feel like that. And I think there's something special about you running a store in the local language. And this could like work because the trust factor is so much higher.
I think so too. And also, there's not a lot of competition, right? There's so much space and so much purchase power as well. In certain countries, there's so much purchase power, even like in smaller markets, like even if you look like into Australia or New Zealand, like, yes, the market is tiny in comparison, right? But the purchase power is just so much greater because people just have more money. Like it's just the right. Standard of living is higher, right? So we actually do a lot of business in those smaller countries, and I like that. I like that as well. Now,
I'm even thinking like what I would love to try is just my exact same store that I have right now, just in Indian, and selling it to Indian people, like targeting people who have used their credit card within the last 2 weeks, because obviously there are people who can spend money. Just see what happens, because I never heard case studies about these things, and I want to find out more about the power of language, of the local language, when it comes to these dropshipping stores. So yeah, that's one thing I'm gonna try.
Cool. So I definitely appreciate that. I like the take on that you say, okay, like the German market, the local market, but also the curiosity to say, okay, let's explore all these other places. I like that. I think it's a quality to have of an entrepreneur that wants to explore, that wants to expand, that wants to see new things and learn new things. And do you feel yourself being like an entrepreneur? Is that something you would identify? Would you tell people I'm an entrepreneur?
I don't even know, like the German word, the English word for that is kind of not cool anymore, but the German is fine. It's like Unternehmer, and it just means like you do business, and I do business. And if it's not e-commerce, it's going to be something else. Like I would definitely define myself as one. What would you define yourself as?
That's a good question. I actually never thought about it that way, and it's cool that you're playing ping pong. So I would, entrepreneur is a strange word, right? Because everyone now uses entrepreneurs like, okay, now I put up my laptop and I go in a coffee shop, so I'm an entrepreneur, right? And yes, there is some truth in that, right? But I just feel like there's entrepreneurship is not necessarily what you do, but who you are, right? So it's not necessarily because I take the action of taking my computer and sitting down, I'm an entrepreneur. But I think that it's about the the ability to go through really tough times and come out much better in the other end, and embrace challenges and grow and appreciate being with the back against the wall, because that drives you. And like overcoming all of these things where you were scared about, where you thought, like, anything now that I feel like, oh shit, like I'm a bit, like that makes me feel uncomfortable, now I want to go there. Like now I want to do it. Now I want to, because I know overcoming this just opens all the other doors to who knows what is going on there, right? So we're actually what people see from what we do here is the sourcing part and a lot of e-commerce education. But actually we have a lot of, like, we're taking on Chinese customers as well, right? So we're building $100 million business in China. And obviously we're not there. And obviously we're we still have to 10x the whole thing, so what we do here. But it's just, entrepreneurship to me just means embracing all of these challenges and appreciating it. So what would I call myself? I would just like, I could be a servant, but that's a bit cheesy. So
a problem solver, kind of.
Yeah, I don't know. I like
problem
business.
lover.
I like business, and that's what I do. And I actually have a similar background. Was my dad has a little software company, and now it's actually cool to see now having outgrown him and like overcame his revenue. Now
nice.
That seems like a very cool. I was struggling with that for so long because he was looking down on me and like always trying to do like, oh,
you're small and stuff. Yeah.
And every time I listened to him, of course, I failed. Like, and if you say this, it must be wrong. So no, I know I can do this, and boom, $7,000 were gone on Amazon ads. Like there are all these. There was always the background also for me to wanting more, right? So I've been always been hardworking. I was waiting tables since I was 14. Throughout since I was 18, I became a carpenter. So then but I still kept waiting, right? So I was doing, there was a time where I did three things, right? So there was school. Then after school, I went to a factory for 2 hours and kind of stitched labels on clothes from Kick, Kick, like this. Those,
wow.
We closed
I didn't know that.
Stuck this on. And then went to waiting tables, right? And then on the weekends did work in clubs and were doing things like that. So there was always the drive. I always wanted more, and I always liked to have money. I always really liked money, but I was struggling with it for a long time, and couldn't make ends meet. And I think on my lowest point, I was about $250,000 in debt, of just always like taking on money from investors or from people and blowing it all but I became better in selling and talking to people, obviously, through that.
Right.
But it didn't make me feel good, right? And I always really wanted to get out of that, and I knew I was below my potential. And I feel like a lot of people living below their potential, living below what they know is in them,
is there,
right? It's just a big leap. Like for us, it might be easy, but imagine you have like you're already working in a job for 30 years. You have the security, you have a mortgage, you have a family, you have a spouse that might not be behind that seeks a lot more than you do. Where you have a family to support, you have insurances, you're locked in a lot of different things, right? So I think it takes big courage and a big leap to get out of that. But eventually, if you don't give up, you'll get out on the other side and become a better person, and then you're all of a sudden able to just earn more money. And it's so interesting how all of that works.
It just happens, right? It's still some kind of magic, if you want. Like, personal development and stuff, but nothing is like, it's not so specific. It's just up in the air. And then if you do it long enough and you want to get above your potential, you'll eventually get there. And I think most people everyone dies under their potential anyway, except if they have started to like get above it at some point in their life. But most people don't, because they don't see the examples and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
But I didn't know that about you, that you were hustling so much.
Oh, so
but
much.
But your friends weren't, I guess, right? Your friends were more about partying. I know you did a lot of partying too, but I think you were still like partying and working, because who can party can work.
I was dancing behind the bar. Like I was at the party, but I was doing the bar. And then at times I was standing up on the bar and dancing. Like there were different moments in my life, like where where I just wanted money, like whatever there was I could do, but I was very limited. I never thought I could actually do my own business, even though it was in the family, right? So my dad did it and started his business, but he was like, back then he was struggling, like he was doing 12 hours a day every day, and back then for me, his weekends were still kind of sacred and the thing, and it was never something I thought I could do, because in my opinion, you needed money for this. You needed a lot of experience. You needed to be in the workforce first, and then kind of branch out of that and take your knowledge that you learned in the 9 to 5 and take that out to and translate it into a business. So I didn't even know I could do that. And then I went to China when I was 19, and I did an internship. I worked for free. I just wanted to complete my school, to be able to go to university and stuff like this. And then I got stuck in China, right? So then I learned. Then there was a guy who hired me, and at 20 years old, I made twice the money I made waiting tables, like just with a simple office work. I didn't like the work, but then all of a sudden I became a manager. It was just something on a paper. It didn't change anything on what I do in a day.
But still.
It was just a trick. And then I became a deputy director. Oh my god! And
oh my God.
that was like, and I got shares of the company and things like that. We're just starting out. Like, it wasn't worth shit. Like, we were not doing anything. But that made me that made me feel like I'm awesome, because all my friends were still in school with them. And then I just I met this guy, and he's 30 years old, and I meet him in Vietnam, and it's like, so what do you do? And he's like, oh yeah, not much. I just started a little company here. So that's what you want to do, like that's what you want to have your living from. No, I'm retired, actually. I just do this by side. It's like, so what do you mean? Like, you're born wealthy? Like, how you're 30 years old, right? Yeah, but like, how did you retire? Or just like the property that I invested in pays me every month, and I have my I don't know what he had, $300,000 a year or something like that. And he's like, oh, I'll just live on that, because that was his rent, his interest, and whatever from the investments he did. But he was 30 years old, so I found this very interesting. He gave me this book that I read, which was Fast Lane Millionaire by MJ DeMarco, for anyone if they want to read it. And that just opened my eyes to this. Like, what am I doing? I'm working. Like, I feel great, right? Because now, back then I was 21 or so, and I had like I had 2 bathrooms and a bathtub and an open kitchen. And I thought, that's life, without knowing that there are people who actually retire at different ages. But he didn't retire because he wasn't born wealthy. He earned this money. He actually went to China. He actually had a sourcing company. And so he started on Amazon, and that was when, the amazing seller Scott Walker, he had 20 episodes. Like, it was the very, very beginning of starting on Amazon. Then I went in there, and of course I failed, and of course I burned all my money, and I started the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and so this is how it all started. But because I've always been working every day, like I've never did like a day off, and on the weekends I was working. Like, I did weddings, and I was waiting and dancing and doing all these crazy things, and like, because I was used to the hard work, then it was okay to also put the hard work in later. And it just, the longer you do it, the success rate it just translates. You see a little bit of it, and then all of a sudden it just like the growth rate just accelerates like crazy.
Yeah, when you're used to working, it's no big deal for you whether you do it in a bar or you put it in your own business where you get like the return as well. Right,
the whole work-life balance. Like, you will not burn out if you do something that's meaningful to you. Like, if you sit 15 hours in an office job every day that you don't like, yes, you will burn out. You like, how can you handle it, right? But if you do something that's meaningful to you, like, I don't know what day it is today, like, I don't care, So it's like, as soon as you find something that you want to do and that you like to do and that you enjoy to do and that that will serve your purpose and that will get you closer to the goals that you set, like, there's no more chance of burning out. Like, even though some days you need to rest and you need to, like, your body will tell you, like, now you got to sleep, like, that's gonna happen eventually. But I don't feel the whole burning out thing for people.
But let's talk about the hustler mentality. So I think we are pretty different in that area. Yeah. Oh my God, you love working and you like stay up until 3 and then you sleep only for 4 hours, and that's fine for you. I don't do that. Like, I did that not too long. Like, my journey has only been like 3 years, but I just don't do this anymore. I just know. I'm,
Well,
I'm
maybe
not. I
eventually
think
you
that's the
find a
point.
maybe eventually you find a purpose big enough, and you just want to, or maybe I'm just really bad at allocating my time, or maybe the goals are too ambitious, or maybe we have I don't know. I think at one point
You are super ambitious. That's true.
like I say, we're building $100 million company, and it's not like that's the goal, right? And those things just you can take. I always feel because time is always a factor, right? So I feel like if I don't scale things big enough, like small, like there's no steady curve. Like a steady curve always crumbles eventually. Like competition comes in, ads raise, the market change, the market shifts, right? It's not a linear thing. So if I don't grow, then I might just fail. So I think my
To go with the
chances,
market.
correct. So I think my chances to succeed and to keep everything that I have and just to keep being alive, I need to grow. Because if I don't grow, then I'll die. And this happens for all the things that we do, all the things that we touch, all the things, all the people that we work with, all these things. And it's not like that I love working. I just love working on my goals. I just really want to reach some of the goals. And as soon as I get close to the goals, there's the next bigger goal, right? But I think growing is living and is happiness. I think there's a lot of happiness in growth. I think people burn out and people get depressed because there's nothing that's happening. Like as soon as things stagnate, things fall
die.
apart.
If you don't grow, you die. Like plants, right?
Right. So
and how do you decide which project? I know you have tons of projects. So how do you decide which one to take on to not spread yourself too thin?
Whatever makes sense, because actually it seems like there are a lot of different things, but eventually it all comes together. So it's a big symbiosis. So I don't do 7 sources of income. Like there are different sources of income, but they're all interconnected. So for example, if we work with someone that we work in sourcing, then we can also help them in our mentor program. Then I can also partner up with them. Then I can also, like, all of these are different things that we do, right? And because then I build a team that helps my brands. We have an advertiser in our team. We have people that can build stores. We have people that can do the shop optimization, all of these things. Because I have that team for myself, it also works for other people, right? So there are always symbiosis, because like the Facebook ad girl who's doing ads for me today, she can also do the ads for the clients, or she can also consult clients, or she could also be a coach in my program, or she could also be picking up the phone and doing a sales call. Like all of that is a symbiosis. So all of that works. It's not separate things. Like all of this,
it goes towards the same goal. Everything, nothing is separate.
Correct. And if you look very deep in the structure that we have, it's all partners. So there's a lot of partners that we work with very close together, that we share profits with. And therefore, when you say, like, what do you decide to keep and what do you decide to ditch? Like, we like to keep everything that makes sense for the big picture and just figure out a way on how we can make it work. Like, okay, with this framework, we cannot take it. Like, I cannot take on more because I have limited time. Well, how do we solve that? Right? Who do we bring in the team? And most of the time, it's not convenient. Most of the time, the money isn't there right now to hire a salesperson, or the money isn't there, or it's not the right time, or we don't have the right. It's not like, a lot of times I feel the opportunity comes, and when the opportunity is here, you need to take the opportunity, because opportunities don't last forever. So just because you're not ready doesn't mean you could ditch the opportunity, right? Because you grab it, but because you grab it, you struggle more, and because of the struggle, you incrementally become a better person, and all of a sudden your whole standard is raised. And when you did, let's say you did $10,000 before, now you all of a sudden need $50,000, and you work on that, and eventually you make it happen, your clothes make it happen. Well, your whole game is elevated. Now you're not at 10 grand anymore. Now you're at 20. Now you're at 30. Like, it just elevates your whole game to go through that. And that's why we don't.
The opportunity just force you to grow immediately. Because if you want to grab it, you just have to. Like, you have to grow. You have to get the money. You have to
find a way. Yeah.
Whatever it takes. Yeah.
Right. Whatever it takes. Yeah, that's the thing. And it, like, after all, it all comes down to what you want, right? It comes down to where do you want to go, and what do you want. And I think everyone has to decide that for themselves. Not everyone wants to, be a serial entrepreneur. Let's put another fancy word in the room. Like, not everyone wants to do that, and not everyone wants to. And there are people preaching focus, right? But if I look at my mentor, and he has probably 20 different businesses in all different kind of areas, like in the service industry, in the digital, and the physical. Like, there are so many different things, and that's why I think it's so important to have someone to look up to expand. Depends on what you want to do, right? If you have something that you want to do, like, you need to find the people to look up to, not off what society says is right, or what everyone around you thinks that's the goal. Like, oh, he drives a Ferrari, so you need to do whatever he does. Well, if you don't give a shit about cars, it doesn't matter, right? But if there's something, okay, she builds shelters for animals, and she can only do that because her franchises give her the money to, like, that's person then to look at, right? So I think everyone has to find their own kind of hero and follow that.
Definitely. Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
I think I love to talk to you. I want to do more. And I think, but I want to do again. So what I would love is for everyone to comment below. What other questions do you have for Anela? If people want to get in touch with you, like, are you open to that? Do you want, like, if people, maybe you have conditions for that, or maybe you have something that you say, okay, maybe some things would be interesting, or do you have anything that where you would like people to get in touch with you? Or
people can find me on Facebook. I'm pretty active there because I'm the older generation, I guess. So it's Anela Tsarevic. We can write that down. And also on Instagram, it's Anela CEE. We can also write it down in the comments.
I'll also put it in the description for you.
Yeah. I also love, like, I'm also thinking, like, maybe doing coaching one day, because I love helping people, but the ones, of course, who are very serious about it and not like having a, like, just wanting to build something someday, maybe. You know these posts and groups where people go like, how do I build a dropshipping store? And no one replies because everyone's like, there's a lot of things you have to take care of. or they think, good question, right?
Like, there's so many. Yes, I agree with you, and yeah, I agree with you. So I would love to do something in that direction with you. We should definitely fly you into China and figure something out. Let's sit together and see what we can do with it, because I feel like we have built a pretty good filter on people that we're getting. We have such a little subscriber base, but all the subscribers that we do have. So if you're watching this as a subscriber, thank you very much, because you are awesome. Like, there's so many awesome people subscribed to this, and they are the right people, and like, not the people
hyper targeted, and they're the people who are further. Right, they're further in the e-commerce journey, or they are at the beginning, but they know that they, or more serious, yeah. They're not the scammers, I think. Like, a scammer will not take care of sourcing good products and good quality and stuff. So
right. I mean, everyone starts somewhere, right? And but I feel like no matter where you are, if you're starting just from scratch, or if you're already there, if you're already on the journey, like, there's always someone who can get you to the next step if that's where you want to go, right? So the last questions I have for you is, and that's more of a general thing, but what would you think? What's your biggest advice? Maybe that help you for people that are struggling now, whether they, maybe more general, whether they are starting and struggling, or whether they already in it and they're already making something. What do you have that maybe helped you most? What's your biggest advice to people that you want to leave? This
so it will have to be the thing that helped me the most, and it was actually following one person's process from the beginning to the end. Just make sure the strategy is not like 5 years old or something, and just finish it once. Like, and don't get into like researching things and having 30 tabs open like I do basically, and just like follow something someone says who you believe is a good one and is successful and is not a scammer, and see what happens then, and don't just take it from everywhere, because everyone has their own strategy, and don't trust me, don't trust you, everyone has their own strategy, and if you want to try one, stick to one and don't mix things up.
That's the greatest sentence to get trust. Don't trust me, so everyone will trust.
Don't trust.
Cool.
But
I want to kick
you
this.
See what I mean? Everything is like, yeah. Everything is like super personal. Like, you ask me, for example, like, what would you suggest to people for, like, in which countries should they open their stores? And Actually, I don't know. I only opened one in Germany. No one knows, except if they did Germany and Spain and India and stuff. So I'm like, everyone is the expert in their own strategy. So pick one and don't mix people, because you will have tons of thousands of different opinions, right?
I definitely want to talk more to you. I definitely want to repeat this. So for everyone who's watching it and who's still watching it after we've been on for an hour, 20 minutes already.
1 hour.
everyone who's watching and want to know more and want to dig deeper and has more questions, because maybe everyone came in here and thought this is like an e-commerce thing and we tell you kind of what ad targeting to use. But like whatever questions you have, just put it in the comments. Put it in the comments. Let me know what you want to know, and we let you know what we know, basically. So I want to thank you so much for doing this with me. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you for helping.
It was really nice. Thanks. We're going to do this again.
Cool.
Thanks.
Cheers. I catch you.
High five.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye, News. Bye-bye.